So here we're going to continue to work, and this time we're going to be working on block. Now to do that, over here I'm going to create a new folder, and the folder name we're going to call it block. All right, now inside this we'll have a few different files. At least we need 3 files. Okay, the first one is for bottom nav states. Okay, .dart. So this file would be responsible for the states of this bottom nav bar. Okay, so this is what we are going to do. Okay, so now over here, the first thing we want to do, go ahead and create an abstract class. And we're gonna call it bottom nav state. All right, now so far we know that abstract class is used to create other classes. So this class works as a blueprint, and this is a very good programming practice. So over here we're gonna say bottom nav bar initial. So here, if we want, we can put our initial state, which I'm gonna talk later so that you guys understand is better. All right, and then the actual one, so here we're gonna say bottom nav bar selected. Now this one is the actual one that we are going to go ahead and use to change the state. So state means whenever we click, they're gonna change. Okay, whenever we click on them, so they are going to change the icons and change the screen at the same time. So this class over here, this is the one that's going to do it. Now earlier we have learned from riverpod and getEx that we can simply use a variable, which is int type variable, to control that. So here we're gonna have final int, and we're gonna call it selected index. Okay, all right. And since this is a class and we declare a variable, we need to initialize it. So we say that, okay, the initialization will come from whenever we call the constructor. Okay, so remember, this is a class. Now this class is going to be called from somewhere, and then whenever we call this class, we'll pass this value, and at that time this would be initialized. Okay, so if you don't do it, definitely here you will see that here it's gonna say the final variable must be initialized. Okay, all right. Now there are 2 ways to do that. One of the ways is it says add a late modifier. Here we could do late instead of final. Yeah. Or we can also say, okay, whenever I use it, actually I'm gonna pass it. So here I'm going to say that whenever I use this variable, I'm going to pass it in the constructor the value for this variable. Okay, so most of the time whenever you create a block, whenever you use block to maintain the state of your application for one variable, because one variable could be used to maintain the states of some buttons, then for that variable we need to create a class, and that's what we have seen over here. Okay, all right, and so that's the first thing that we need to do. The second thing, we need to create some event class. Now this idea could be a little more convoluted, I mean difficult, but what I want you to do, I want you to follow along with me. First do the bit of coding. Once you follow the coding with me, then I'm going to explain more, and then it's going to make more sense. Okay, so if I talk too much here before showing how it actually works, it's not going to make a lot of sense. Okay, so this is why I'm going to create the class, and now I'm going to create another class, and I'm going to call it on item tapped, and here extends and bottom nav bar. Okay, bottom nav bar events. Okay, so for event class, we also need to create an abstract class, and then whatever the class that we created as abstract class, we just need to extend that. Okay, Now over here, once again, we're going to create a variable and we're going to call it int, and then the variable type is index itself. And then we're going to have our constructor. This is our constructor. And then here we're going to pass this variable. Okay. All right. So this event class, this one and this one, they will work together. So in general, from our UI, when the button would be clicked, we'll pass a value. Whenever we click a button, we'll grab that index for that button, like the first one is 0, the second one is 1, 2, and 3. Wherever we click, Flutter can automatically get that value, and then we'll use this class to pass this value to this variable. Okay, now this value would be saved inside blocks memory in our app. Okay, because remember, right now we are in block mechanism. Okay, so whenever we grab value, we'll just pass it and save it. And once we save it, this class would come and tell the UI, hey, look, we have a new variable in our memory, so let's go ahead and update the UI. So that's how it works. Okay, now this two mechanism, like passing this value and then updating through this class, updating the UI through this class, happens through another third class. So let's go ahead and create it. So that's why we have created this two first. So next here we're gonna say bottom nav block dot dart. Okay, so this is the final class, and this is the blueprint between this two. Okay, so this two would be connected using this class. This is amazing. I mean, I like this structure actually. So it's like I mean, it's more safe, I would say that. Okay, it looks like, yes, you have to write a little bit of code. All right, so that's true. So here we're gonna say bottom knob bar, bottom nav bar, bottom nav bar. I think I'm missing bar actually. I think I didn't name it correctly. So here it should be this one. I want to call it like this. And now since we actually want to use a block, so here we need to go ahead and install block. Right now looks like you see that we don't have block. So what we could do over here, we can come over here, and here we can say flutter pub add flutter block. Okay, so now it's going to add the latest package. Okay, and once that is done, hopefully you would be able to recognize it. Good. Okay, all right, then we have to have the other one that we also need to install, bottom nav bar state. Okay, this is state. I called it state. All right, and then over here it says that create constructor to call super. Now this is a class, and this class is extending this class, and this class has a constructor. Okay, so this is the constructor of this class. So now since we are extending this class through it, so we also must call the constructor. Now one way to call the constructor, I mean, just directly go ahead and do like this, and it's still gonna work, but we can actually change it a little bit. We don't want to do it. Okay, so what do we want? We don't want to pass anything there. Okay, so here we can explicitly call super, and then within it here we can pass bottom nav bar selected, and we're gonna pass the initial condition, which is 0. All right, now you may ask that, okay, so here we have extended this class to create this class, and we have this super, right? But for earlier two classes we didn't have. The reason is, you see, this is also an abstract class, but this class we didn't create any constructor, so we don't need to pass anything to this class from here or from here. But in our block class we already have a constructor, as you see that this is the constructor. But in this case, this abstract class doesn't have constructors, so this block here is an abstract class, as you can see. But over here, this class over here, the one that we created, event, it doesn't have any constructor over here, so we don't need to pass anything. So hopefully you understand. The idea is if your parent class, this is called parent class, if it has a constructor, whenever you call that parent class, you have to pass constructor. So that's the idea. And then here we can use on, so which actually registering our events or event classes. Here we have event class on item tapped, and here we're gonna pass event and emit. Okay, right. And then after that we can simply do like this. So this is within block, you have to do it like this. You have to have on over here. Okay, all right. And within on you have to call this class, this one. Okay, so that's how what's going to happen. Remember, now we're going to use this block class, this one, from our UI, and along with that we're going to call this one. So when we call this one, so first we're going to refer this, and then we're going to refer this. As we refer this, we'll pass the value. Okay, so this value would be passed down to this variable over here. Okay, so this will take our value, so it will have our value automatically. Okay, and then we're gonna do like this, bottom bar selected and event dot, here we can say index. Okay, so you see now, because here this on is connected with this class, so it automatically knows that this class has a variable index, and we can see that. Okay, so whenever we call this on item tapped from our UI, so we're gonna pass this index, and as we pass this, we're gonna use this class, and this class will store this index in block's memory. Okay, so block will know that, okay, there is a new value. Of course, it will check internally the value is actually new or the same. That's a different topic. So after that, here, once this is done, the next step, you want to use this callback. This is called callable function, this one. Okay, so you need to use this one, and then everything would work like a magic. Okay, so that's the point. So the idea is you create states class, events class, and you wrap them, you connect them, creating another third-party class. But then there is a mechanism. You have to pretty much always follow the same thing. Okay, that you have to create that class, you have to call the constructor, and then you have to pass the initial value, and then you have to call on, and then you have to grab the value, pass it to the class, and create emit. Now I know it looks like a little bit convoluted and a lot of idea, but trust me, block is beautiful. It is super awesome. If you somehow understand block, you'll always stick to block. I mean, this is why I love block. It's very exciting because it always uses very classic programming concept to implement things. For example, here we are learning class, parent class, child class, the extend keyword, the super keyword, and creating a constructor, passing values. These are very classic concept of block. Okay, not block, actually classic concept of any kind of programming language. So that's why you should go ahead and use it. So the idea is, first you're going to create a state class, then you're going to create event class, and then you'll create a block class. So from your UI, you will call this block class as you call, then you'll call an event class, which is here, actually this one. Then you'll pass your value to it, and once you pass the value, you're going to use this emit callable. Of course, you can call it anything. You don't have to call it emit, but they call it emit. And then the UI would be updated automatically like this based on this emit. Okay, anyway, so we'll continue more on next